everyone, how are you? This is Bethany Gagne, founder of Numinous, the organization that sponsors the Resident Peaceful Cities Project. And this video is the fourth in a series that I'm doing to basically sort of chunk down consciousness, to make consciousness, to help people connect the dots, that learning about consciousness is highly practical. Okay, so a lot of times people, think they know what meditation is. They think they know what we're doing here. Actually, there's a greater level of depth and skill to what we're doing, more than merely reducing shoulder tension, right, or reducing anxiety, those kind of things. In the Resident Peaceful Cities Project protocol, the meditation protocol we use, we are inviting people to tune their nervous system to open to the divinity within them. Okay, it's very different than mindfulness, where you're hearing a sound as far away as possible. I love all those things, love Zen, all that kind of, I always say I never met a meditation I didn't like. However, the people I hang with, we do meditation for sport. We do meditation to go deep inside of ourselves, so deep that, as physicist Bohm said, something about how deep inside of us is a nexus point where we connect to all that is. Okay, so with those of us that we kind of sit down to meditate, we're ready to take the full journey, basically to kind of go to the other side, to kind of remove the veil between this 3D world and the world that's all around us, but our nervous system is eclipsing it out, right? And what you learn over time is that there are ways to tune the nervous system to help you make this journey. And what this journey is the journey into the gorgeousness within you. Unfortunately, no one's really taught us that, for the most part, is that there's incredible gorgeousness and beauty within you. And the reason why you don't know it is because of the way our nervous systems are tuned in this kind of current society, especially exacerbated with screens and highly analytical, highly mental, right? Which has had its benefits, right? Because we've, obviously our technology has advanced and all of that, except for the fact that in the process of moving kind of more into the head, we've lost the wisdom of the heart. And so that's when we're getting this point where we're getting all this high thinking. A friend of mine called it years ago, bullet train thinking, right? Just kind of pushing, linear. And then people know that that's a lot of wear and tear on the nervous system. So what they want to do is drink or drug to reduce it. Right? This is why so many people are on anxiety medication, why anxiety is off the hook, is because we have these really bad, lazy mental consciousness habits. And because it's invisible and no one's been taught us about the way our consciousness commerce is with the world, we are struggling needlessly. And it's always been my passion to share with people. I used to say the owner's manual to their nervous system, but it's more than that. It's like the owner's manual to the divine consciousness, the being, your infinity self, right? And the power and the resilience that has. Now, I don't want to get too far out there because then, people think, well, that's not very practical, right? But what we're doing in this series is I'm teaching you how to stack your nervous system so that you don't have to listen to me on any of this, that you are on your own journey deep within to see just how into the beautiful infinity you can go, right? So what we're going to do in this one today, because again, this is the fourth in a series. First, I had you analyze your locus of awareness. I called it your locus of power. Then we had you anchor it into the Dantian to be poised, to have a stance in this world, pulling ourselves, feeling that pull of gravity towards the earth. Grounding is another way to say it, but really anchored in the lower abdomen. Then last week we blossomed into the heart. We allowed ourselves to feel a spacious heart. Right? Now this week, what we're going to do is we are going to practice this nasty little habit we have of chatting to ourselves all the time. Okay? Now again, this is why people are drinking and drugging, because that internal critical voice, the way it's often been referred to over the years as the critical voice, I call it, or the inner critic is usually what it's called. I call it the inner terrorist. Because when left to its own devices, is actually an inner terrorist. It's an inner chatter that is basically walking along almost all of us at any time. And I'll tell you why I'm saying that. Because what the research has shown is that when we're in that inner critic chatter, there's a series of brain regions that are activated known as the default mode network. And researchers found this default mode network activated when they actually asked people to just let their minds be empty, to not focus on anything in particular. And when they found out when the mind wasn't focusing on anything particular, it tended to wander, and it tended to wander to not very good places. Okay, so a non-focused mind will wander. And I'm going to mention the 4 places that the researchers have determined it goes to. And as I mention these 4 places, you're going to be like, oh yeah, I know that. Okay. First place that our wandering mind tends to go to when it's not focused on a task is to the past, to rehash it, right? Anything that wasn't resolved, I'll go back to the past and rehash it. Then we go to the future and we worry about the future. Right? Then there's this, and this is neurologically based, we tend to worry about how we look to other people. Now, before you feel like that's a people-pleasing kind of thing, it's really not. We were hardwired, our nervous systems evolved, and those of us who survived were liked by our tribe. And so our nervous system is hardwired to be basically to care about whether or not we're liked by other people. You know why? Because when we lived in tribes, if you were ostracized by the tribe, that was sure death, right? So those of us who were tuned to wanting to be liked by those around us, we are the ones that survive. So if you have a nervous system and you tend to be a people pleaser, 1, we all know, knock it off. But 2, go easy on yourself, because that's the way your nervous system is wired. And the way you stop being a people pleaser actually is all of this, by allowing your consciousness to stay anchored inside your body. Okay, so that is the 3rd area that your mind wanders, okay? Now, the 4th area is they say that we, quote, narrate our day. Now, if we were just narrating our day, that's great. What we're doing, though, is actually often criticizing our day, right? Like criticizing how we're doing something, or, maybe some negative mind chatter, all of that kind of stuff. So do you get what's happening? You got this series of brain regions activated when you're not focused on a task that 46% of the time is going to a negative thing, right? And so it's basically terrorizing us when left undisciplined, unskilled, right? So I say, you might as well imagine most people walking down a city street with a big, ugly ogre walking next to them, whispering horrible nothing. What do they used to say? Sweet nothings, right? Horrible nothings into the person's ear and terrorizing them as they walk, okay? Generally speaking, especially if someone's in anxiety, this is why substance abuse is so rampant, because everybody's trying to shut up that chatter. And let me tell you, I want you to get to that point where you want to shut up the chatter, but I'm going to show you how to do it in your nervous system as opposed to a substance. Now, it's going to take some discipline. I always say this stuff is simple, but it ain't easy. It's simple because it's actually, the remedy is quite simple. But it really is not easy, meaning that you need to condition your nervous system like an athlete, right? Like an athlete wouldn't just go to the gym once and go, that's it, I'm all fit, I don't need to go back to the gym. No, an athlete goes every day, right? A musician picks up their instrument, no matter how advanced the musician is, they still pick up their instruments every day, run through scales, blah, 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 right? That's how they stay in top condition. So that's why I call this work a consciousness athlete series, because we're always going to be conditioning the mind, or the mind's awareness, consciousness in the body. But the cool thing is you don't have to go to the gym. You can be standing in line at the grocery store. You can be driving. You can be sitting with your pet, practicing being in presence. It's a lifestyle, the consciousness athlete lifestyle of just constantly attending to your consciousness, taking care of your consciousness. We'll talk more about this in future videos. So the bottom punchline for this one, though, before I go off on a tangent, is I want you to practice silencing your mind's chatter. Now, we're going to set up the nervous system the way we have before, anchor awareness in the body, ground down through the dantian, open up the heart. Now, the next thing we're going to do is move our consciousness into the back of the tongue. We're going to relax the tongue. We're going to relax the back of the tongue. Now, why? Because all that, your body eavesdrops on everything you think. Okay, so if you imagine biting into a lemon, your mouth is going to salivate as though you're biting into a lemon. Okay, the mind body does not know the difference between what's real or imagined, which is why the multi-billion-dollar porn industry works. Okay, it's all because of the mind-body connection, right? So understand that your tongue actually eavesdrops on what you're saying to yourself. So if you relax your tongue, it's like kind of silencing your tongue, right? It's silencing the inner critic. So we're going to practice this week how to move our locus of power, the wheel of power, into the back of the tongue, relaxing the tongue. I'm also going to have you become aware of the space around the head. Okay, and already just me, stepping into that is just and having you is just it feels gorgeous. It feels beautiful, right? But having people understand that this is a quality of heightened consciousness. You see, nobody taught us about. Everybody just assumed it, right? When we were more indigenous people, they don't need these kind of videos, okay? They're actually living more in tune with the earth, more in tune with nature. They don't even have, many don't even have chairs, so they sit in a way, they kind of squat, that's how they sit, and it sets up the nervous system to be grounded to the earth. It's a very different lifestyle than what we have. So we, to help ourselves get back to our original nature, that we are part of all of this nature, right? That we're not separate from nature, we are nature, right? And so eventually all this is going to work towards oneness consciousness, which is when that I am no different than anything around me, okay? I am just part of this scenery, okay? That's kind of more oneness consciousness. But so what we're going to practice this week is, if you find yourself with inner chatter, we're going to bring our awareness back to the body. We're going to relax the back of the tongue. And we're going to practice, what's it like? Can you do this? And if you have to do it literally 1,000 times before you finally break your really bad habit, that's probably on the low end, okay? But start getting used to, what's it like to not have so much chatter going on? And I really want you to get to the point where you are not enamored with all of everything you're saying to yourself. Because what's going to happen is you're going to start listening to yourself, and you're going to start realizing just how much of it is inane, is useless, is meaningless. I mean, I remember one day catching myself narrating me pulling the car out of the driveway. Like it's absolutely insane. If you really start listening to yourself in your head, you will realize you don't have much to say. And we do better when we trade up, when we mute the personality self, that default mode network, and we start expanding into our infinite consciousness. Okay, so this is this is what I'm saying. Like, I'm just trying, for years, I've been trying to teach people about the gorgeousness within. And this is my attempt to start chunking it down, to start giving people the real practical skills. Now, in the Consciousness Athlete classes, which I'm going to be offering soon, we get to go into this. People get to ask questions. We're going to go into cleansing the energy field. We go into sending intentions by other people, or having other people receive intentions from people. So it all kind of really starts popping even more. But just doing this series, I really hope that it's helpful to you, that you're starting to get, there's this mystery of the real you, that there's this journey, that there's that just getting past that inner chattel, you get to go into your own beauty and your own essence, and then you have this commerce with infinite love. And you start to get that this is the journey that we're all on. We think it's all about out there, out there, out there. It's actually in here, and then it reflects out there, right? So I think that's it. I feel like there's one other thing. It looks as though we're going to be starting up with the Legion of Light. So I'm going to be asking again for people to submit meditations. And there'll be a new Consciousness Athlete series coming. I'd love to have you be a part of that, and also the Dealing with Difficult People. So thank you all so much for your interest. Please share this video. Please, please, please. There's beauty in all of us, and the sooner we really calibrate to that, then the sooner we get to all live the kind of magical mystery tour this world was supposed to be. All right, thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye.